to this week's session of Financial Literacy Lunch Bytes, the fourth session. And thank you for joining me today. I am a little bit soft today. I'm a little bit under the weather, so having a little bit cough and here and there. So yeah, but I will still continue with this week's webinar. This is our fourth session. And for those who are new with me here, this is our usual weekly lunch bites where we will share on a weekly basis. This is going to be a free ongoing webinar, and where we will share on an ongoing basis the little, information for financial that is important to financial literacy, and I will add in little tips and practical uses for things that are able to you can apply to your everyday life, right? Okay, so this week is session number 4. So I want to, because we only have half an hour, so I wanted to quickly move on to other things, to the session proper. So in the last few sessions, I actually spoke about the framework. I have a 4-step framework, and step 1, in one of the sessions previously, step 1, we talk about the now. Now being the taking stock of what you have now, all the assets and liabilities of all the things that you have in your current life, and also to taking stock of everything that you have, which includes your assets or liabilities, getting to know what you have in your current life and where you want to get to. In that particular session, I also talk about going from point A to point B, and from point A is where we are at now, and point B will be where we want to get to in our goals. So that is our step 1. Step 1 is ascertaining our now. Wanting to know where we want to be, starts from knowing where we are at now. It's only when we know where we are at this point in time, then we will be able to get to know what are the adjustments and shifts we need to get to where we want to be. So that's step 1. Step 1 is about the now. And step 2 essentially is about blocks. What are the things that are stopping us to get to where we want to be? Think about it. If there are no blocks in our lives, we would already have gotten to where we want to be already, right? So that is our blocks. And the blocks part, we actually look at what are our limiting beliefs, what are the things that are stopping us from getting to where we want to be, right? And this week, I'm going to talk about the 3rd step in my 4-step framework. The 3rd step is actually on resources. So on resources itself, this week is going to be very, very interesting because resources covers a wide area of spectrum. So for me, I'm going to squeeze everything into this 20 minutes, 30 minutes, webinar. Of course, I will share as much as I can. And the key thing would be for you to get a takeaway from this as well, just so that it is not, it is practical and is applicable to you in your own life. So this week, let's talk about resources. So what are resources? So when we talk about resources, it refers to the skills, behaviors, experiences, qualities, things that we have. And if you're familiar with my work, you would know that I actually combine neuro-linguistic programming with my experience in the area of cash flow in what I do. So in NLP, it is a lot on the unconscious mind. NLP works on our unconscious mind such that, in our daily lives, it's actually very scientific, but it is very practical as well. The thoughts that we have, the things that we are thinking, the logical thinkings of our brain is a 10% of our conscious mind. So the rest of it, can you imagine if we are only using 10% of our mind in our daily lives, how much more depth and how much more resources we have as a result of the unused 90%. That is, you know, if you can see the slide, the 90% actually forms the iceberg that is below the surface. What we see outside is just the behavior, which is the iceberg, you know, what's outside the iceberg. What's below underneath the sea, which can be seen, and which is also what is shown as a result of our behavior, is so our behaviors are due to the values, beliefs, and the worldview. So, and those are the hidden aspects in our lives which we can tap on, and which we can tap on and pull our resources from. So just now I was explaining a little bit about NLP. Let me complete the explanation. NLP essentially is the patterns and programs that we have in our everyday life. Like, we all have programs, patterns in our lives. There are things that makes us happy. What are the things that makes you happy? Think about it. There are things that causes you fear. Some people have fear of heights, fear of water, fear of everyday things, insects, stuff like that. So we have patterns. There are things that trigger us. Good things and bad things. Good things are things that will build up that there are patterns that, you know, some people when they see rainbow, it makes them happy. Some people when they see unicorn in their mind or in shows, it makes them happy as well. So it is a difference. And these are the patterns that we're talking about in our everyday life. It is already there in our present in our everyday life. It's just a matter of how we use them to help us in our lives, right? So we talk about behaviors being driven by values, beliefs, and how our inner consciousness works with people, how our inner consciousness works. So essentially, today I want to look at values. When we talk about resources, we want to look at values itself. So when we talk about values, what are values? Values are things that are important to us. So in our life, okay, what I'm sharing about here, of course, I gear it towards the area of finances, cash flow, but it can be applied to any other area in our life as well. So specific to cash flow, when you think about money, ask yourself this: what is important to you about money? And even the money category can be so, is a very, very broad category as well. It's very, very wide. It's so wide. You can further split it into what's the values when it comes to saving money, what's the values when it comes to spending money, what's the values when it comes to looking at debt, and what's the values when it comes to different things. So it is sometimes an area, a very important area to look at. So if you look at money in a broad sense, you know, take a piece of paper and write down what are the values, what are your values when it comes to money. Write down 5 important characteristics, you know, or values, not characteristics. What are the 5 important values that you have, your most important values when it comes to money? I would give examples, but you know, sometimes I hesitate in doing that because it gears you towards my values instead. So maybe I can give you 2 different extreme examples. One example of values is some people they will value independence as a value when it comes to money, and some people they value freedom, or some people value the other day someone was just telling me, you know, his value when it comes to money is survival, you know. So these are some small examples, but I would want you to take some time because I would really want you to, I know it's only 30 minutes webinar, but I also study human psychology, and I know that if you don't do this now, after the seminar, you may not get around to doing it, you know, in your own time. So now I'm going to spend like, you know, just 30 seconds, just write down, take a piece of paper, write down This will be your values in the area of money. Think about what is important to you when it comes to money. Ask yourself, what is important to you when it comes to money? Thirty seconds. So you often hear me say this, that in the things that we talk about, in the things that we do, there is no right or wrong, there's no good or bad. There is no judgment at all in the way that you view money. And there is no, and again, I want to emphasize this, there is no right or wrong answers. There's no model answers in what I do as well, because everyone is different and in their own sense of, in their own, they have their own right to, it's their own life. It's your life. You have the right to live your life the way you want to. Of course, every action brings a different result. So then what result do you want to create? So the question will be, what result do you want to create? And then what action do you want to take from there? So, right? So once you have the 5 values, look at it and think about it. This is the part where I will trigger some thoughts as to what is important to you when it comes to values, and what are the, and whether these needs are met, when it comes to money, So look at the 5 values that you have written down. Ask yourself whether are these needs met. And very simply, if yes, what can you continue to do about it? And if no, then what can you change to get your needs met, to get your values met? Because we live according to our values, and it's very important to us to get our values met. Otherwise, we would continuously be changing the things that we do. But if our values are not met, then it is very, it doesn't meet our needs. Our values are our needs, and it doesn't meet our needs in the area of, in the area that we want, and we will not be satisfied where we are at now, no matter what we do, if our values are not met. So that's the values part. And then I want to talk about resources. Remember, the key thing here is about resources. So with regards to resources, excuse me. When it comes to resources, think about what are the positive experiences that you have, and what are the things that you have and you need to help you to get to where you want to be. Resources that we have in our lives would be things like our experiences, positive experiences that build us up, our experiences, our the learnings that we have, the learnings that we have in, looking at the learnings that we have in looking at what are the things that can help to build us up. Why we talk about resources? Because these are the positive experiences that we leverage on to help us to get to where we want to be, right? So I want to share a very powerful exercise, and it is on resource anchor. I want to help you anchor one resource into your life in today's session. So just to explain a little bit on what are anchors. Basically, just now I already shared about resources are positive experiences and learnings, and qualities, skills that we can leverage on in our life. And all these are inside of us, and all these are things that we can pull out and utilize whenever we need to. Like, for example, for someone to be very good at public speaking, they can pull out their confidence when they are speaking to a small group of people and leverage on that when it comes to public speaking. So giving an example on finances, when someone wants to be in a very detailed state in their finances, if that is what they want to be, they can pull out a time back when probably they were younger, when they're in school and they're studying, they're very, very detailed in their study of maths or chemistry or physics, and leverage on that particular experience to get them to be in a state of detail to help them to finish what they want to do. So talking about anchoring is, we're going to anchor one very important resource. So anchor is a stimulus that induces a response. Anchors can be visual, it can be auditory, it can be kinesthetic. Kinesthetic are movements, or it can be smell or taste. Any one of these triggers that will help you to become associated with a particular state or response. Like I have my anchor when I do public speaking, when I speak in front of a group of people. I have my anchor when I step into a room. And I have my anchor when I work with numbers. If I know that today I'm going to do my accounts for my company, my administrative staff, I will trigger the anchor for when I am very detailed, very specific, very focused. And then when it is time to be thinking big picture about the company, to think up my business plans, I'll trigger the anchor for my big picture strategic resource. So there are different types of anchors. And in your lives, first figure out, think about the resource that you want and what you have, and then think about how you want to anchor it. Like I said, there are anchors really everywhere in your life. One very, very good example, and one that is one very, very good example, and one that leaves a very deep impression is me is, have you ever walked into Ion, the mall, Orchard? If you step into Orchard, if you step into Ion, there is this particular smell that they actually infuse into the air conditioning, such that once you step in, you smell it. So every time you smell it, you think of it. And it's quite interesting. There was one year where they gave out the incense as a Christmas gift. So I actually got it, and whenever I smell it, it reminds me of Ion. So it brings me back its association. So now we want to talk about anchor. I want to help you to anchor the resourceful state. It's a very quick process. Just think about the state that you want to be anchored in. It could be a detailed state, confident state, hopeful state, resourceful state, where you are creative, you are resourceful, you are full of energy. And that reminds me, I think I need to anchor a presentation state for webinars and stuff like that. Yeah, so that's a very good idea. Okay, so those are useful state, resourceful states that you can help you when you deal with your finances. Like, you need to be in a calm state when you open up your bills. When you get into a resourceful state where you can think of utilize your creativity to think of how to plan your finances, how to get creative to earn more income, how to get creative to reduce your expenses. These are states that we can utilize in. So now when you have that instance or that experience in you, when you have that, when you can recall that particular experience, I want you to close your eyes. You can do this open eye, close eye, but I find that with eyes closed, it's easier to get associated to the state itself. So I'm going to close your eyes. Think back to your memory of that particular state that you want to be associated in, and immerse yourself into that state. See what you see back then. Hear what you hear back then. Feel what you feel back then. And if there are tastes or smell, immerse yourself into that particular experience, that particular situation, right? And with that, when you are there, I'm going to give you a few moments to get into that particular state. And yeah. So that's right. Get into that state. Associate yourself fully into that state. See what you see, hear what you hear, feel what you feel when you are in that state. And then now, when you're fully associated, I want you to increase the volume, increase the brightness, tune up the picture, brighten up the whole experience. And now I want you to lock it in. Right? Lock it into whatever anchors that works for you, be it anything that someone says to you, how you feel, what you see, what you hear, what you smell. Anchor that in and lock in that feeling, that particular feeling, right? And yeah, lock that in. And in your mind, click on that particular button that store the particular experience, lock it in. Click on that button to lock it in, and then open your eyes and come back to now. Right? So that's what we just did was anchoring a resource, a resourceful state for you. There is a little bit more to it. Excuse me. There is a little bit more to it where we will find a particular spot. It can be a touch anchor where we anchor it onto a touch in our body, or it can be a spatial anchor where you step into a room, you sit in a particular position, it triggers the emotion. So there are different ways of anchoring it. But yes, that is what that is what it is. Okay, so yes, this is the main thing I want to share with you about resources. So what I share is very, very powerful, because imagine when you can get into the state and pull out the resource that you need whenever you want to. It's about utilizing the resource. And remember, this is step 3 of the 4-step process. So just a little bit of recap. Step 1 is we assess the now, current situation. Step 2 is we identify what are the blockages. Step 3 is we utilize the resource we have in our experience